Good work from Frampton. Flicks out a couple of jabs. They didn't land. He sets and resets now for his next attack. Jackson goes forward with a shot to the body. Jab to the head from Frampton. Oh, he just misses with a clipping right uppercut as Jackson swayed out of the way. Frampton goes forward once again. Jackson in the neutral corner, far side of the ring, but the Australian opens up with a couple of left hooks, one to the body, one to the head. Now he tries another of those left hooks, but he misses with that. Frampton opens up with much more solid looking shots to the body of the Australian. A lovely crunching right hand again, sinks his way in underneath the left elbow of Jackson. Jackson paused with his shots and goes forward at the end of the second round. And let's head over and hear from Jamie Moore for the first time in the corner of Carl Frampton.
What's going on with this fucking program shit?
When you go, that's a stay, go away, because as you pull, that's when you start getting on the outside. Yeah?
So what Jamie Moore is saying, Andy Lee, is stay in there and hold that distance and hold the pressure.
Yeah.
Where's the AR?
He's looking to counter, he wants to counter, he's going to allow
How can anybody turn off this shit? Just fucking up.
Jackson to the body, more so, with Frampton dominating around. It's kind of hard to land cleanly on Jackson because his guard is so high. He's quite mobile. So Frampton dominating around and pressing the action well. I think it's only a matter of when he can kind of find that range and judge, as you said, judge the distance and get that, just that one step here or there, and he'll start to land cleanly.
Man shit.
Whereas you wouldn't say Luke Jackson is in danger of winning this fight at this stage, he certainly isn't overall. Whatever the atmosphere here, and it might be as loud as anything Carl Frampton even has heard in his career. The two men exchanging shots in the centre of the ring. Frampton has been told to hold the pressure and hold the space when he gets in close, and don't allow Jackson the scope to counter-punch and counter-punch with success, or simply find a route to safety. Right hand and a left hook from Frampton, both wing their way over the top of the head of Jackson. A left uppercut come hook does get through though, and rocks the head of Jackson. It is noticeable that the punches that land from either man, of those punches, they're much stronger, much more hurtful from Frampton. But now Jackson tries another one of those left hooks towards the head. Right uppercut from Frampton is followed by a right hand over the top. And just for a moment Jackson looked to be on unsteady feet, but it was a loss of balance rather than any real damage from the punches that came his way. Almost a minute gone in round number 3. And this is not much more competitive than a lot of people suggested it might be. But now, as Jackson tries to open up with body shots, so Frampton hits him even harder. Lovely body shot from Frampton, followed by a left uppercut. He makes Jackson miss with an overhand right, a lazy looking overhand right. And just a semblance of a swelling now on the right cheekbone of Jackson, although he does have fairly prominent cheekbones anyway. Right uppercut and right hook from Frampton, both miss. An exchange of jabs from the two men in the centre of the ring. A minute and a half gone, a minute and a half to go in round number 3. And we talked about a terrific workout for Tyson Fury, and that's what this is developing into for Carl Frampton as he drives Jackson back close to the ropes on the far side of the ring. Jackson tries a right hand, and as he did so, Frampton was throwing a left hook and they virtually tripped over each other, and that gave encouragement to some of Frampton's fans at ringside. They thought that Jackson had been troubled, whereas he almost tripped. Jackson leans into the right hand, lifts his right foot off the floor, almost falls off balance. He drives a jab in towards the torso area once again of Frampton, right around the ribcage. Frampton swaying with the arms, throws a left-right combination, throws it again, twice in a row, but they bounce only off the bright red gloves held high by the Australian Luke Jackson. And now a shout from Frampton gets through after a feint with the right hand. Clever work from Frampton towards the last half a minute of round number 3. He sways around in the centre of the ring and just leans back out of the way. And the jab from Jackson then gets through with a left uppercut. And then a solid right hand to the body, and then Frampton steps back and almost admires his work here. He believes clearly from his demeanour here, he's got the measure of Jackson. Jackson almost with a desperate lunge of a right hand to the body. He was way shy of the distance. Frampton up on his toes in the centre of the ring. The left hand is held closer to his waist than his chin at this stage. That's how confident, borderline nonchalant he is at this stage. He sways back, makes Jackson miss with a right hand to the body, but then in turn misses himself with a right hand to the head. Big time and World Championship boxing here on 5 Live at Windsor Park, and Carl Frampton after 3 rounds, how have you got it, Andy Lee?
I'm winning all 3 rounds. In that round, he was really starting to impose himself physically on Jackson. He was pressing the action forward, ask Jimmy Ward first to stay in close and press forward. Don't cut out high, because that's when you're at risk of being caught. And you can see towards the end of the round, Jackson started to look a little bit more ragged. His coordination and techniques started to play a little bit. And I think that's because of Carl's extra strength and extra size.
3 rounds completed. Coming up tomorrow on 5 Live, 2 Premier League commentaries on 5 Live Sport. Brighton and Hove Albion against Manchester United at 4 PM, and before that it's Manchester City against Huddersfield Town at 1:30. But here at Windsor Park, Carl Frampton edging his way towards a showdown against the man sat on the opposite side of the ring, Josh Warrington, the owner of the IBF Featherweight Championship of the world. He can't afford to take too many risks, Frampton, from here on, but he does look in imperious form. He opens up and clubs Jackson with a right hand on the side of the head, but gamely the Australian fights back. You'd expect that from an Aussie. He's trying here, takes a jab high on the head, does Jackson, then sends in a right hand to the body. Frampton goes after him. He's winging in these single right hands now is Frampton. He senses that could be the decisive shot here in this contest. In fact, so much so that he's ignoring the jab every now and again from Jackson. Frampton goes after his man as if he can punch with impunity here. Tries a left-right, left-hook combination. All of them miss. And that smear of grease across the face of Luke Jackson is being disturbed with every successive punch from Frampton. A cheer from the cornerman of Luke Jackson to our right here as he landed with a single right hand, but Frampton comes straight back at him. It's the turn of Frampton to hold his gloves high, in his case bright white gloves to match his predominantly white trunks and white boots, as he steps back in now, loping that left hand out in front of him, Frampton, as if to try to disturb the concentration of Jackson. Jackson attempts to throw a right hand and a left hand to the body, but he was way out of distance. He isn't nearly as keen to step into range as he was in the previous 2.5 to 3 rounds. We're at the halfway stage of round number 4. Another winging wild left hook from Jackson is seen by Frampton. Frampton tries to throw a right hook to the body. He throws a second one, an uppercut that bounced off the gloves, but the left hook that followed up that right uppercut didn't get through. Overhand right from Frampton gets through. Then he tricks another left hook on the way out of that particular exchange. Good counter-punching from Frampton. Terrific boxing brain. Was always thought of as a counter-puncher early on. And Barry McGuigan and Shane McGuigan tried to add the attacking instinct to his game plans. And he's now much closer to the all-round fighter. He goes to the body with a right hand as we head into the final minute of round number 4. Frampton steps off, waiting to land a stinging counter as Jackson comes forward. Jackson is up on his toes and he walks on to a lovely, crisp, straight right hand from Frampton. One of the cleanest and most clinical punches of the contest so far from Frampton. It bounces off the jaw of Jackson. Credit to the Australian. He comes straight back into the fray and skips. He's up on his toes as if to send a signal to Frampton that he's taken that shot, absorbed it well, and come back into the fray. But how many more of that caliber can he take? As Frampton lands another left-right, but straight away, Jackson responds with a clipping left hook that found its way to the high part of the head of Frampton. Frampton tries to send in that right hand. He's time and again looking to time that right hand, the single straight right hand. Sometimes it loops over the left hand. Jackson gets through with a sneaky right hand. A rare success in this 4th round as the bell sounds, and we'll head back to the studio now and hear from David Price. Your thoughts, David?
Are you going to come?
Starting to warm up nicely. You know,
Fucking hell, yeah.
Started the aggressor.
How's it going, man?
Jackson's coming back into it quite handily in this round. I think it's good to see a bit of resilience. Probably seems to have a staunch attitude. Frampton needs to find
Did you watch the fight? No, because you fucked up.
Hopefully the body shots he's invested in earlier in the rounds will pay dividends later on. I thought Carl looks a lot better in that round. I thought he found his range. He found his distance with the feed. He allowed Jackson to fall short and he countered effectively. He got caught with a couple of sneaky right hands, as you said, but that was maybe, that was few and far between. I thought Carl started to find his range and started to look good. I thought that was a classical Carl Frampton round.
Well, there's a lot of animation in the corner of Luke Jackson. Be sure to know that he hasn't come here just to rise from his stool and make up the numbers. Big Time Boxing live on BBC 5 Live and BBC Radio Ulster, coming to you from Windsor Park. Carl Frampton versus Luke Jackson, and we've moved into the 5th round. There were one or two pundits who suggested the fight wouldn't go this far. Luke Jackson now tries to open up, steps forward with a deal of venom in the punches and much more ambition in the work from Jackson in the opening half a minute of this round than there was in any of the previous 4 rounds up to now. We're into round 5, half a minute gone. Frampton steps on the back foot with a right hand towards the body. Jackson opens up with a 3-punch combination, but none of them got anywhere near the target. The torso or the chair or the centre of Carl Frampton. Frampton backs away towards the
shit though, wouldn't it? Don't you think Tyson Fury is just a bella? He's just dancing, man. This is what he's like.
Circumstances at Ellen Road back in May, beating Lee Selby.
This is what Tyson Fury is like. In the ring, this is Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? That's what happens to him when he gets to Wilder. Wilder, should I say.
Jackson covers up from the latest attack from Frampton. Frampton swings around towards the centre of the ring. It's his 3-punch combination followed by a straight right hand from Jackson, but Frampton either took him on the gloves or maybe
What they call a fucking fanny.
tries to pull up and goes with a solid jab, but Jackson responds almost immediately with another good, sharp, crisp jab from Frampton. Bounces off the face of Luke Jackson, who's fighting gamely here and determinedly.
Furious, yeah.
Fifth round as we head towards the last minute of this 5th round.
Fucking muppet, mate. He gets all shitty little fights, you know what I mean? All he does is dance like that bird on there.
It looked as though it was a straight right hand.
He gets in the ring with fucking Wilder, mate. Wilder's going to take his fucking head clean off.
And was almost swaying away. Jackson backs away as Frampton goes forward with a couple of jabs.
Keeps getting these easy little fucking fights, man. He's a little bitch.
On the ropes on the far side of the ring, but Jackson pushes him away, and there is damage across the right eye of Jackson and below. They were working quite furiously on that eye in between rounds.
He is, mate. Definitely.
Of course, this the 5th round. Jackson though comes back into the face.
Benetta should have fucking banged him, mate, tonight, you know what I mean? But he's a dancing little prick, isn't he? Wilder again.
And now Chris Black hook lands and clubs onto the chin. Collar back, couple of body punches. Then another left hook, another right hand.
No, I mean, that's his 2nd fight now since fucking he beat Klitschko. I don't know how the fuck he managed that, to be honest.
Brilliant work from Frampton.
The 2nd professional fight since Klitschko. Is he the first one on his first comeback? Geezer were like fucking big.
Determined to win and to do himself proud. He's not here just to make the numbers. To me, Frampton has 2 ways to win this.
Fucking makes my fucking piss boil, I swear.
See out of the decision, maybe get play established. But if he's used to walk forward, as he's done in spots, with his hands high and really take the fight to Jackson, he could really wear him down. I can see that Frampton's the bigger man, the more physically dominant man, and if he wanted to choose that option, walking forward and make this a physical fight, he might be able to stop Jackson breaking down.
I mean, he couldn't even make the fucking main card. It's the undercard. Fucking wank.
BBC Radio Ulster, and we've given all 5 rounds relatively comfortably.
Lineal champion. But yet he can't make the fucking main card.
In this contest, you will suggest from here on
Right, yeah.
win, but he certainly is giving Carl Frampton more.
I give him loads of reviews, so I do on fucking Twitter. Not once has he answered me. Not once. George Foreman, he even retweets my fucking shit that I put up there. Tyson Fury won't even acknowledge.
Ringside canvas at this stage. All the television monitors at ringside are gradually becoming soaked now as Frampton goes on the front foot with a couple of jabs.
How you doing anyway? Not too right.
Right hand hand to the body. Good work to the body and the head.
Seen you in a few other streets.
Last round and the 45 seconds of this round so far. This round number 6. Frampton is looking confident, standing in range. He's got slightly shorter reach, but it doesn't look like it so far. He kicks out a jab and then swayed back as Jackson responded.
Like the t-shirt, like he says, another gynaecologist, but I'll take a look.
Get through. He tries the same combination again. The second one was slightly messier and didn't land with the same kind of power. Frampton takes a chance by dropping his hand, going to the body, right hand to the chin, draws applause from the crowd here. Another right hand from Frampton, and Jackson wins in a left hook. And there is just a sign that Jackson here, he hasn't moved off the ropes, is really beginning to feel the power here. That right eye is gradually becoming more and more closed. He's got a lump beneath it and a lump just beneath the eyebrow above it. That eye soon will give him trouble in terms of seeing punches coming down the left flank. The jabs and the left hooks from Carl Frampton, and the crowd really getting into full voice here as Frampton has repeated success and power shot success as well. He tries a couple of jabs. Jackson though smartly dips underneath the
Frampton loses this every time.
towards the last minute of this 6th round for Frampton, who's been so sharp. In fact, he's getting sharper as the contest wears on, as Jackson evidently is getting more and more tired. But there's nothing wrong with the spirit of the Australian. He comes back to the centre of the ring, tries to sharpen up, and now tries a right hand, but he's beaten to that shot by Frampton. The two men launched those punches almost simultaneously, and Frampton got there, and you heard the shouts from his cornerman, headed by J.D. Moore, into the, or close to, the last half a minute of round number 6. Frampton still holding his ground firmly in the centre of the ring. He's much the harder puncher here, and he tries to set up a left hook to the body, but instead steps forward with a couple of jabs, drags down the head of Jackson. The referee separates them for a rare occasion. The referees have very little to do here.
This fucking cat not working today, or? Been good for a while, isn't it?
But that's the class of the man in the closing seconds of round number 6. Brilliant work by Carl Frampton, who's outboxing and outpunching Luke Jackson over the course of the 6th round. Brilliant work from Frampton, who takes a huge intake of breath at the end of the round and walks confidently back to his corner. And let's hear now from Billy Hussein, the chief trainer in Luke Jackson's corner.
You know what they want to do? Saunders want to like move up on fucking weight class. Billy Joe Saunders and Tyson Fury. Them two, that'd be a good match. He needs to move up in class a little bit.
Jackson hasn't had a couple of right hands on the top when Frampton has been punching himself. You know, there was this period in that round where Jackson was on the ropes and it looked like Frampton was going for the finish.
Fat man Ricky, he needs to come back.
This fight, he's a dangerous fighter all the way. But Frampton's starting to set traps now. I can see he's trying to strike. He's looking to set up a
he just like lost once. He fucking Floyd fucking Mayweather. And then that was it. No more. He got fucking proper fat. He was in Tyson Fury's fucking corner today.
Carl Frampton against Luke Jackson. Frampton has won everything on our card, but as Andy Lee was saying, Luke Jackson is in there, fighting gamely and with a lot of spirit here as he tries to step forward again and answer the call from his trainer Billy Hussein and throw that straight right hand, but instead he walks on to a clipping uppercut of the right hand from Frampton. Frampton steps up, takes a jab from Jackson. Jackson then goes to the body with a right hand, followed with a left hook. By then, Frampton had departed the scene and was way out of range. Jackson again in the centre of the ring. Again, listening to the instructions from his corner, tries a winning left hook at the end of a 3-punch combination, Jackson. The first 2 shots landed to the body. Now Frampton has had a quiet start to the round over the course of the first minute. Backs up and Jackson tries to prise open the high-held gloves of Frampton. Didn't quite succeed, but there's still plenty of fight left in the Australian. Now Frampton drives forward with a right hand towards the body, but slightly untidy in his attempt to follow up with a left hook. A right uppercut again gets through from Frampton. Just as Hussein said, Frampton was leaning forward over the front foot, so does Jackson do that from time to time as well, and he walks onto the uppercut, which is at times exquisitely timed by Frampton. Frampton goes to the body, that crouching left hook underneath the right elbow of Jackson, and Jackson tightening those elbows as Frampton now tries to open up, but immediately Jackson responds, and that pedigree of his amateur career, the Commonwealth Games gold medal, representing Australia, holding him in this contest, keeping him alive in this contest, as he steps forward now, but takes a jab from Frampton. The sharper work and the more powerful work is coming from Frampton, but Jackson's throwing plenty himself. And the Australian skips back to the centre of the ring, walks on to a left-right combination, then throws a similar shot of his own, but it's the jab from Frampton, which is the best punch of that particular exchange, and rocks back the head of the Australian as we move into the final 50 seconds of round number 7. Frampton now drives forward, sweat on his brow, tries the left uppercut. It just whistled past the ever-reddening nose of Luke Jackson. Overhand right from Frampton. It gets through, but it bounced off part of the glove of Jackson. Jackson
Come on, you
damage
boys,
around
Fox,
by
man,
the
what's the matter with
right
you?
above and below. But still, he's seeing enough to land occasional shots. The left hook to the body seems to be troubling Jackson.
I've been streaming on and off for 4 years, and I ain't even got like fucking 4 comments. 3.
As if to
That's
defend
it.
against the punch that's already landed.
Yes.
Jackson flicks out the jab. Now, Frampton goes after and lands a much more solid shot with that same punch. The jab, the two men in the orthodox stances here. Jackson comes back towards the centre of the ring. Frampton again flicks out a jab. Final few seconds here of round number 7 for Carl Frampton.
Yeah, I think Jackson's starting to feel the pace now, and maybe the physical assertion by Frampton. You know, early in the round, like he did well in the round, Jackson. There was an argument that he might have got stalled around, but towards the end he just kind of lost his way a little bit, and Frampton's extra size and power started to tell. And there might be signs that he's starting to maybe fall apart a little bit, Jackson, just because of the size of Frampton and the extra power that he has on his punches.
But clearly, for a man who's had about 16 professional fights, he knows his way around the ring.
Yeah, and well, he's an Olympian, Commonwealth gold medalist. You know, this was a huge step up in class for him to fight Carl Frampton. It wasn't a step up, it was a giant leap in class to fight Carl Frampton. But he's proven he belongs to being there, that he's a credible challenger, and he's putting up a good fight.
Luke Jackson putting up a sterling effort here, but Carl Frampton has won everything, all 7 completed rounds on our cards here on 5 Live and BBC Radio Ulster. And it's Frampton who goes on the attack. Jamie Moore was noticeably more animated in the corner during that 60-second intermission. Frampton goes after his man with a couple of jabs. Maybe the feeling was that Frampton was allowing Jackson into the fight at a point in the contest when he shouldn't be allowed that luxury. Jackson is still firing away, in particular with that straight right hand that Billy Hussein, his trainer, thinks is the key to getting through to Frampton. But if he does get through, will he hurt Frampton enough? Only 7 of those 16 straight wins for Luke Jackson have come via the short route. Frampton goes after his man. A bit shy of the distance with the jab, and then got through with the right hand and followed up with a cluster of punches that were neatly avoided by Jackson. Right hand over the top again from Frampton, and the referee separates them and warns Frampton for hitting on the break, and so they touch gloves. Sporting acknowledgement from both men. Now Frampton goes towards the body with a right hand. He takes a couple of shots on the gloves, but then a right hand from Jackson gets through, and you might have heard some cheers from his corner. And once again, that straight right did get through onto the chin of Frampton. Frampton, though, content to stay at mid and long range. He thinks he's the boss and gets through with a lovely left uppercut and then a right hand to the body, changing the flow of the attacks, switching from the body to the head, upstairs, downstairs for Frampton. And now another sharp shot from Frampton, but again Jackson takes it well. He's surviving attacks to the body and to the head and trying to come straight back as if to send a message to Frampton that he's undeterred. Heading towards the final minute and 15 seconds of round number 8, and Frampton is really having to work for this win, even though he's won all 7 completed rounds. Jackson is refusing to buckle. Now he comes forward as the Australian, charging in, dooring in behind his gloves with his head towards the chest area of Frampton. Frampton flicks out a couple of jabs. The greater boxing ability is with the Northern Irishman, there's no doubt about that. But every now and again, Jackson does sneak one through the otherwise clever defensive work of Frampton. Frampton moves around towards his right, around 90 degrees, and then a lovely left hook towards the body, similar to the shot that Christopher Elias got rid of Paddy Barnes with earlier in the evening. It's a lovely left hook to the body from Carl Frampton, and Jackson is down, and maybe the resilience is about to be broken. With 25 seconds to go in round number 8, and virtually everybody here now rising. Frampton looking for the crescendo to this performance. Jackson backs off. He's trying to cover up down below for sure, because that's where he was so badly hurt. He's pushed to the ropes on the far side of the ring. Is he going to be rescued by the bell here? He sways under a right hand. He takes another clubbing right hand, and Jackson is in desperate trouble. And we'll follow him back to his corner here, because I think they will decide that he has had enough.
You've got 30 seconds,
So they're saying, Andy, they're going to give him another 30 seconds, and
yeah, well,
they're going to pull him out.
Confusing, and he was saying, I might have enough, it was a good shot, you know, and the corner's saying, go out on your shield, son. That's not what you want to hear. The opponent's supposed to protect the fighter, listen to the fighter. To me, that's disgraceful. You don't need a brave tournament. If the fighter signals that he's had enough, then he's had enough. It was a great high shot by Carl Frampton. Jackson actually landed with a hook and set at the same time to the head. But like I said, with the focus, with the Barnes Rosales fight, when you take a shot with your throwing shot, it doubles the impact, and that was the telling moment in the fight.
Well, that happened around 90 seconds or so ago. Has Jackson had sufficient time to recover here? Into round number 9. It's scheduled for 12, but it's going to be a long way home from here for Luke Jackson, who voluntarily backs up onto the ropes. There's none of the fire and the sharpness of previous rounds, although Gamely picks out a jab. A right hand over the top from Frampton gets through. There will be room to the head here now, because Jackson will be so concerned about taking another solid shot to the body. The gloves will start to dip, and he's driven back by Frampton. Frampton is taking his time here. He believes that he can bide his time, that Jackson is a wounded soldier here in this ring, and that Frampton can take him out at any time that he chooses. They come together in a close quarter exchange. They're separated by the referee. Jackson has survived so far, and beyond the 30 seconds that his trainer Billy Hussein mentioned, although Jackson himself didn't seem too keen to come back out for this 9th round. Jab from Frampton gets through, then a clipping right uppercut. Jackson takes another jab. As the action moves to the far side of the ring, Jackson again jumps in with a jab.
Come on, man, what the fuck? Not one of your fucking commenting apart from fucking match. Really?
Punches the air. Famous Belfast night, and a fantastic performance by Carl Frampton. And if that is to be his last ever appearance here in his home city, then what a way to sign off. He's lifted aloft by his cornermen, and listen to the ovation. Carl Frampton, in the end, subduing the spirited Australian Luke Jackson in the 9th round. Finally, he broke the resistance of the man who many said would be gone long before halfway. As it was, it went into the 9th round, and for Carl Frampton now, it's all on course for Josh Warrington and a challenge to the IBF World Featherweight title.
Not the most cleanest performance by Frampton. A very good win against a spirited challenger, but there are moments when Jackson landed good shots, and maybe that was because Jackson didn't put. I think Carl Frampton felt so comfortable in there, and he wasn't stimulated by the challenge of Jackson, that he might have got, lulled into some sort of false sense of security, and kind of got this kind of displaced and distracted. And then in those moments, Jackson had some success. Like, he's marked up Frampton, and that was not all from headbutts or elbows; those are from punches. But in the end, his extra size and his extra class proved the difference.
Do you think that in some part was down to Frampton believing that he could punch and get away with it at times?
Yeah, he probably knew, he could probably feel Jackson's power, knew that he couldn't be hurt. And that's why even when he landed the body shot which dropped Jackson, he also took a punch at the same time. And Jackson was the one to go down. You know, he took a clean left hook to the chin, where Jackson was the one to go down, just because Frampton knew he could take his power, and Jackson couldn't take Frampton's power.
So we're waiting for the official announcement on this night Paddy Barnes was beaten in the 4th round in his challenge for the WBC flyweight title by Nicaragua's Christopher Rosales, and then Tyson Fury completed a 10-round shutout points win in his 2nd comeback fight against the outcast Francesco Pianetta. The safety announcement ringing around the stadium here as we wait for the official verdict from Thomas Traber here, with Carl Frampton coming through against Luke Jackson, and now all will be set for a showdown later this year against Josh Warrington. And Andy Lee, Josh Warrington might well have taken something from that he believes he can build on as well for their showdown if it happens.
Josh Warrington will be very encouraged by what he saw there today.
Official time.
We'll talk more on the official verdict.
Seconds of round number 9. Referee Terry O'Connor waves off the contest. Therefore, your winner by way of technical knockout and still interim WBO featherweight champion of the world,
Mr. Costello will run off and go and get a microphone in front of Carl Frampton for you before we hear from Stephen Nolan tonight, who's going to be taking your calls on a little bit of a boxing phone-in. 08085 909 693 to speak to Stephen Nolan. 08085 909 693. Stephen Nolan in Belfast tonight. David Price in the studio with me. David, Carl Frampton's counter-punching was key tonight. Was it at times exquisite to watch?
He is a brilliant counter-puncher, Carl Frampton, and Luke Jackson provided the perfect style to display that today. He was resilient, he was firing back. Carl was leading with his own punches. Jackson was firing back with the left hook every time, looking for that shot, and he came close sometimes, but that was the opportunity then for Carl to land his own counters, and it played into his hands really. You could see the difference in strength and size throughout. He was kind of bullying him around the ring, Carl as well.
Andy Lee, did that feel like a swan song for Carl Frampton in terms of Belfast?
Yeah, maybe in Belfast, this is a bit like he's always talked about wanting to fight here in Windsor Park, and this maybe, you know, to get the chance and to have that kind of box tick. Now maybe he goes on and looks to end his career on a high with a challenge against Josh Warrington. And Josh Warrington will have some, you know, will be encouraged by what he saw tonight, because Jackson had some success, even though Frampton was dominant and probably won every round. There were moments in the fight when Jackson certainly had success and landed, especially with the right hand. Yeah. And Warrington is an improving fighter all the time, and as you've seen, he surprised a lot of people by beating Selby, and he's a fighter on the up. So these got like Frampton and Warrington will be meeting at a crossroads. You know, maybe one fighter on the ascent, one fighter on the decline, but where, you know, which it has Frampton slipped enough to be caught by Warrington yet, we don't know. That's what we're remains to be seen.
They're in the ring together right now, David, aren't they?
Yeah, we were speaking before, Andy, about Josh Warrington, with, you know, kind of like a new Ricky Hatton type fighter with a massive following, massive heart, you know, fit as they come. He's a newly crowned world champion, and as you said, it's a crossroads fight. I think Carl Frampton may see him as the easiest of the route to get a world title, but on paper, yeah. But I think in the reality, it will be a tough fight against Josh Warrington.
I think so too, David. But it will be another huge fight. More than likely at Ellen Rowe in front of a huge fans, and as well as being a great occasion, it'll also be a great fight for Frampton and Warrington financially. So that's also another incentive. But I think both guys will fancy themselves going into that fight.
There's talk of Ellen Road, but potentially the Manchester Arena as well, where Frampton's fought Quigg, and what a night that was in terms of atmosphere. Do you think that may be this year or early 2019, guys?
I don't see why it shouldn't be the end of this year. I mean, I can't see anything else for Carl Frampton to take on in the interim. And Josh Warrington is a world champion, so he has to keep moving forward. He can't hang around saying he wants to develop anymore, because he's champion of the world. So I think later on this year should work out. But it's the weather thing. If it's going to be at Ellen Road, it'd have to be sooner rather than later. We couldn't have Ellen Road in the middle of winter. Obviously, you may have to wait till next spring.
Andy, you were talking about Josh Warrington being encouraged watching that. Where then are Carl Frampton's weaknesses?
I don't really like the weaknesses, and I don't think Carl Frampton has a lot of them. But one thing Carl Frampton is, as we mentioned, is a counter puncher, and he can almost need you to punch at him. In the second Santa Cruz fight, they were anticipating Santa Cruz to come forward and be aggressive as he was in the first fight. He didn't do that. He chose to take a set where he stepped up and used a jab, and it kind of nullified a lot of Frampton's work. One thing about Warrington is, as David mentioned, he's very fit, very athletic, has a lot of heart and a big following, but he also is a very good strategic and tactical fighter, and he can follow a game plan, as he showed in the Selby fight. And if he chooses to try and box Carl Frampton and be a counter puncher, it will definitely make for an interesting fight. Like, I would still favour Frampton in the fight. He's a proven champion, and he has that class and pedigree. But Warrington is a young fighter, up and coming, and he definitely has a chance. I still slightly favour Frampton, but it's a very close fight.
Frank Warren has just confirmed, actually, guys, that fight will take place this year. So the question that I just posed has just been confirmed by Frank Warren in the ring, that Carl Frampton will fight Josh Warrington. Hasn't announced where that will be, but has said that will be this year, which is a great fight to look forward to, isn't it? Now we've got official confirmation.
Another fantastic fight that Frank Warren's produced the goods. It's been building up towards this for quite a while, and I think it was a blessing, without being disrespectful to Lee Selby, that Warrington beat Selby, because I think it's going to make for a better fight between Frampton and Warrington than it would have been Frampton and Selby, and it's going to be more interest in it because of the following that Josh Warrington has.
And this is why, Andy, that we talked at the beginning of the night. It was such a big night, and it's gone the way that everyone wanted it to go, in terms of, well, not of course for Paddy Barnes, but Tyson Fury, and then getting that Wilder fight confirmed, and now the Warrington-Frampton fight. So boxing fans, it's a great time for boxing fans right now.
Yeah, it's a great night, and it sets up two more great nights. And when you look at Frampton and Warrington, they're probably the two, arguably, and maybe so, outside of Anthony Joshua, the two most popular fighters based in the UK, in Ireland. And they'll be bringing huge fans, and there'll be huge backing. So wherever they fight, where it be, I don't know, more than likely Manchester, or even in the Odyssey, it will be a sellout, and it will be another great night of boxing, which has already been a great year. We have the Golovkin-Canelo fight to look forward to. We have Joshua and Povetkin to look forward to. We have now Fury and Wilder, and we also hopefully will have Frampton and Warrington.
And these fights have a shelf life as well, and that's the danger here in such a hot division. And I'm not just talking about the champions, but many of the contenders as well. There is a chance that either Frampton or Warrington or both get beaten, and that greatly devalues the fight between them. And that's why, there is, I think, a momentum to get this fight on before the end of the year. And what an end of the year. I mean, I know we're only in August, but if you take the last third of the year, say from September onwards, you've got Joshua versus Povetkin, you've got Wilder versus Fury, and now you've got Frampton versus Warrington, with whatever else there is to come, then, this just underlines how British boxing is absolutely flourishing at the moment.
Will there be any disappointment, Mike, do you think, from the Fury camp, in terms of not necessarily putting on the show that certainly the fans were after?
Yeah, you might say the fans, the general sports fans, but if you look back through Tyson Fury's career, I was actually saying this during the week, he's not somebody who looks explosive. His great qualities are mainly in terms of defence and his guile and the way he reads opponents. And that, looking back over his career, yes, he's outclassed opponents and eventually worn them down, but there's nothing to suggest that he was really going to be explosive tonight. And as Andy Lee was saying in commentary, he was also up against a man who had survival instinct and whose intentions were pretty much geared towards damage limitation.
And so, Andy, in terms of Tyson Fury, for those tuning in now who missed that fight earlier on, of course, he wanted those rounds, didn't he? And he wanted those rounds. He's got that activity in the ring that he's been lacking, of course, with the layoff and that fight against Fury in June. But now he has got what he's really, really wanted, which, let's be honest, less than 6 months ago, we would have thought that's never going to happen. That's crazy talk. He's going to fight Joshua.
It's a remarkable achievement of what he's done to come back from where he was and the weight that he put on and the physical shape and the mental shape he was in, to come back and to be now challenging for the world heavyweight title. It's, you know, for him on a personal level, it's an incredible achievement. But I think he'll be happy. I don't think he'll be too worried about going the distance tonight and trying to impress people. I think when you look back in hindsight, it's probably just more about getting the job done, getting the rounds under his belt, getting the sharpness that he needs, because you can't replicate fights with sparring. There's nothing like it with the small gloves in front of the crowd under the bright lights. There's no substitute for actual rounds in fighting. And the type of fighter that Tyson is, he depends on his instincts, he depends on his reactions, and he depends on his improvisation. You can only sharpen those tools by actually getting the rounds in fights. So he got his rounds, and now he got his fight with Deontay Wilder. So for him, it should be a very happy night.
Right, let's hear from Carl Frampton live on 5 Live. He is with Thomas Kane.
Carl, you look sharp. You were dominant. What was your analysis?
I was happy. I was comfortable. I felt I don't know what round it was. 9, 10.
9.
I felt fresh. I felt comfortable. Felt like I was trying to land the perfect shot at times, and different things we were working on in the gym with Jamie. I felt like they were working, but happy enough with the performance. Yeah.
You told me a couple of weeks ago you were due a stoppage. You got it. How pleasing was that to send out a statement to the featherweight division?
Look, I know myself that I've still got it, but I need to go out and prove it by performances like that. But Warrington, you know, is a different fighter, and it's a different fight altogether. It's going to be a tougher fight. I'm not daft, but I think it'll be a cracking fight.
Your distance control was key throughout the fight. Was that something you appreciate?
I think it always is. I think that's one of my best attributes, my distance control, and I don't know where that stat comes from. It's online that I have 62-inch reach. I've never had my reach measured, so someone's guessed and pulled that out of the air. It doesn't feel like it because I can control the distance very well. Obviously, a lot of that to do with my feet, but the distance control was key tonight, and my punch selection as well I thought was very good.
Let's talk about the occasion. What was that like to experience? 24,000 people at Windsor Park.
Unreal. The noise was electric, and I knew it was going to be. And just a credit to fans, you want a rainy night here at Windsor Park, the biggest ever crowd inside this new Windsor Stadium, and I'm delighted.
With the nerves?
Yeah, I was nervous. I just spoke about it there. I was sitting having a meal with my wife, and I was nervous tonight. Hands were shaking a little bit. That's not normally how it goes, but I suppose because of the size of the occasion, that's the reason why.
We're alongside Frank Warren and also Josh Warrington. Is that the natural next step? Frank says it's all if you want it.
Yeah, I want it. I think Josh wants it as well. Obviously, there's a few things to sort out, but look, that's an easy fight to make. Josh is a champion. I want to be a champion, so it makes sense.
There we go. That's Carl Frampton speaking to Thomas Kane. David Price. Warrington next then, it seems, for Carl Frampton. Where would he go after that? Again, hypothetically dangerous, isn't it, to look forward, but Santa Cruz the only man to beat him. Would he want a third meeting with him? How does his career end in terms of him essentially wanting to go down as a great before he hangs his gloves up?
Yeah, that'd be the natural choice, wouldn't it? You know, it's one apiece in that. Make it a trilogy. You know, he gets the upper hand in the third fight and he becomes a unified world champion, and only he'll know when the time comes to call time on his career, but he's achieved so much so far. He's in there to get that second world title, or is it might even be a third world title, I'm not sure, but there's opportunities going to come against Warrington, and he'll take it fight by fight, I think, and the Warrington fight is something that he needs to focus on completely because it's going to be a good test.
Mike, the final word to you.
Yeah, I think all round tonight, Tyson Fury and Carl Frampton will go away more than happy with what they've done here tonight, and not just one, but set themselves up for big dates later on this year. So at an occasion, Carl Frampton said during this week he wanted people to be able to remember this in 20 and 30 years time. They might not remember in terms of the results, but the atmosphere here, the whole occasion, is something that everybody here has really felt tonight.
Mike, thanks for your company. As always, David Price with us on 5 Live as well. And thank you very much to Andy Lee as well. He's been ringside for us in Belfast. 08085 909 693. Get your calls in because Mr. Stephen Nolan is next. Stephen.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, that number, 08085 909 693. We're not surprised if you're living in Northern Ireland at the moment about that atmosphere in Windsor Park tonight. Maybe some people elsewhere in the UK were. Pick up the phone, Jason. You've heard two big fights on 5 Live tonight in front of a huge crowd of 25,000 people at Windsor Park in Northern Ireland. First, Tyson Fury beats Pianetta, and then Carl Frampton beats the Australian challenger Luke Jackson. After the fight, Fury faced off in the ring, apparently confirming a bout between the two. Here's how it sounded on BT Sport.
They called. I answered. I said, send me the contract. They sent the contract. I said yes. And now he gets his chance to fight the lineal heavyweight champion of the world. My promise is, I've got me rounds here tonight, 10 rounds. But one thing I promise when I go to Las Vegas is I'm knocking you the out,
That's Fury facing off with Deontay Wilder in the ring. Details of the fight are expected to be confirmed in the coming days. As for Carl Frampton, he beat Luke Jackson in the 9th round after the Australian's corner threw the towel in. Frampton remains the interim WBO featherweight champion after dominating the Australian. Here's how it sounded on 5 Live.
Frampton is teeing off now. Goes to the body with the right hand. Then a right uppercut. Jackson back to the ropes on the far side of the ring. The towel comes in, and simultaneously the referee, Terry O'Connor, waves his arms. It's all over. In the 9th round, Carl Frampton steps up onto the second rope, just above us here at ringside, punches the air. A famous Belfast night, and a fantastic performance by Carl Frampton. And if that is to be his last ever appearance here in his home city, then what a way to sign off.
Right, 08085 909 693. Jeff's our first call of the night. Hello to you, Jeff.
Good evening, Stephen. Thank you for having me on.
And what did you make of the fight, Jeff?
Well, I'm talking about Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury obviously needed a good fight, which he did have, over 10 rounds against an experienced boxer. A man who fights for a world title is no mug. He got the workout he wanted. If he'd put the man away earlier, the Yanks might have gone running. Now the Yanks think, well, Tyson maybe not the man they think he is. I know he is an extremely clever boxer, and in my view, as a former boxer myself, he will not only deal with Wilder, he will cause Joshua many problems. Joshua has never fought a skillful heavyweight.
Well, let's see what Tim Smith thinks of that. Tim's the Vice President of Communications at Heyman Sports. Hello, Tim.
We don't know boxing.
Hello, Stephen.
Hi, Tim. And Tom Gray with us now as well, the Associate Editor for Ring Magazine. Good evening to you, Tom.
Good evening.
Hi, Tim. Let's start with you. Fury didn't show his knockout power tonight, did he? How is he viewed in the States right now?
Well, I think he's viewed as a serious heavyweight contender. I mean, the guy is a former, heavyweight champion. He's still the lineal champion in the heavyweight division. So he's seen as someone who is a threat in the division. So I think he got in the rounds that was necessary. He came into the fight trimmer than he was before. A few pounds heavier than he was when he fought Vladimir Klitschko. So I would have to say after tonight, he's going to be, with a full training camp, he's going to be in fine form. So, you look at him as a top contender.
Is he not past it, Tom Gray?
No, I don't. I mean, he's definitely not past it. I mean, I don't even think he's 30 years old yet. I mean, there's the possibility that he's done himself a lot of damage with the condition he got himself in when he was out of the ring. But judging by, as Tim just said, the condition that he's been able to achieve for this fight, which, let's face it, was a 10-round fight against a guy who's not really on his level. What can he do, as Tim again said, getting a full training camp in and coming in, somewhere near his top form? I think it'll be a very entertaining fight, and it's certainly capturing the imagination of the boxing public.
How do you see the fight between Fury and Wilder in terms of appeal? Will it take a bit of selling in the States, Tim?
Oh, I think it'll sell very well in the States. I think when you have two massive heavyweights
that are going to go up against each other. And you have to remember, these are two massive heavyweights whose mouths run constantly and never stop. They will be promoting this thing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, leading up to the fight. I think it'll be a good promotion, and I think they'll be able to sell the fight. And I think it's the kind of fight that the mainstream sporting public will fancy because, like I said, it's rare that you get a heavyweight championship fight with two guys that are legitimately in the top 5 in the division.
Carl Frampton, let's turn to the Frampton fight. Carl said he wanted this to be a fight talked about in pubs in 30 years' time. The atmosphere was electric, Tom, but was it a memorable fight?
No, I don't think he's quite achieved that, but I don't think he had the opponent in front of him that allowed him to achieve that. I thought that Jackson went into kind of survival mode somewhere around the second round, and then even when he did begin to open up, that was more out of panic because Carl Frampton was cutting him off and made him fight. But really it was one-way traffic, and that's not the type of fight that's going to be remembered 20, 30 years from now. If he had one of the world champions in front of him and did a similar job, then that's a different story. But tonight was all about, I felt, tool sharpening. It was almost like the fight before the fight, if that makes sense.
But that atmosphere it's special, certainly to another Irishman like me. Did it feel special to you, Tom?
Absolutely. I mean, and I said this after I spoke to Carol about 2 weeks ago, and I said in the article that I penned that I've never been in a fight atmosphere that rivaled a night in Belfast. I've never been at Windsor Park, obviously, but I've been at the Odyssey, which is the SSE arena now, and they blow the lid off for him. It's absolutely incredible. It will rival anything in Las Vegas or New York or any other boxing mecca in the world.
Okay, Tom and Tim, thanks very much indeed. Let's get the news at 11:30.
On digital, online, smartphone and tablet, this is BBC 5 Live.
A man's been charged with attempted murder after a car crashed into cyclists and pedestrians in Westminster last Tuesday. 3 people were injured. Sally Akata, who's 29 and from Birmingham, is accused of deliberately driving into members of the public and police officers outside Parliament. The boss of the Italian company which operates the motorway bridge that collapsed in Genoa says he'll do everything possible to find out the cause, but he's declined to accept responsibility or apologise. Earlier, a state funeral was held for some of the 42 people who died. Military police are investigating claims that 2 cadets at Sandhurst waterboarded another recruit. The Royal Military Academy says anyone who has failed to meet the high standards expected will be punished. Indian troops are being sent to the state of Kerala to try to rescue thousands of people left stranded after flooding. More than 320 have died and more rain is forecast for the area. And tributes are being paid to the former UN Secretary-General Kofi Annan, who's died at the age of 80. The former Prime Minister Tony Blair says he was a great diplomat and a true statesman. Austin Howard has his sport.
Good evening. Tyson Fury has promised to knock out WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder. A fight between the pair was confirmed in the aftermath of Fury's dominant points win over Francesco Pianetta. And despite failing to knock out the Italian, former middleweight champion Andy Lee says he'll have
attempted to do 10 rounds. There were times when he could have stepped on the gas, but it seemed like he consciously took a step back and allowed Francesco Pianetta to get through the 10 rounds. A good, solid, professional performance. I thought he looked really good in spots.
And Carl Frampton stopped Australian Luke Jackson in the 9th round to retain his interim WBO featherweight title in Belfast. And after the fight, promoter Frank Warren confirmed that Frampton will fight Josh Warrington for the IBF World Featherweight title later this year. Also, Paddy Barnes was beaten in his flyweight world title fight with Christopher Rosales. Adil Rashid says England are happy with their work on day 1 of the 3rd test against India. That's despite the visitors closing at Trent Bridge on 307 for 6. Rashid took the prize wicket of captain Virat Kohli for 97.
I thought the bowlers toiled well. It wasn't easy on that pitch. As the day got on, the pitch definitely got flatter. But all the seamers, everybody stuck in there and give 100%. So I think we'll be okay with the position we're in.
A late goal from Marcus Alonso gave Chelsea a 3-2 win over Arsenal at Stamford Bridge. Arsenal had drawn level by half-time, having conceded twice in the first 20 minutes. It's now 2 wins from 2 for Maurizio Sarri, and Ross Barkley says Chelsea are adapting to their new manager's style.
We've got really intelligent players with a new manager coming in. We know that the style of play that you could see from last season and the season before from Napoli, the style of play that they played, and we already knew the way his methods were.
Tottenham beat Fulham 3-1 with Harry Kane putting an end to his August goal drought in the Premier League. Kane hadn't scored in his previous 14 matches in the first month of the season. Elsewhere, Everton beat Southampton to give boss Marco Silva his first win as manager. Bournemouth came from behind to beat West Ham 2-1 at the London Stadium. Leicester beat Wolves 2-0, while Cardiff City drew 0-0 at home to Newcastle. The result of the day...
Damn it, Mindy. I can't do this anymore. Your father was like a brother to me. He was a great cop and a hero. But Big Daddy, that was not your father. Okay, that was someone who robbed you of your childhood. This hit girl. That's not who you were. You and Mindy McCready, you're just starting high school. I understand that you don't know who that person is, but you will. You just gotta try.
I don't want to.
You don't know what you want. You can't. You're not an adult, not yet.
I've lived in more than 15 years and we're still dead.
That name that your father gave you, the one that you were supposed to open things when you were having. What is it?
You take care of it.
And you were supposed to listen to it, right? Well, listen up. I want you in school. I want you to stop talking to that boy, and I want you to promise me this is never going to happen again.
Yeah, you fucking fannies, mate.
Late Night Film and Film Fall, sponsored by Casumo, a casino. Time to go mad in the field. Longwood Festival is to watch the poster.
Embracing the Think It Will Festival are all about.
That's not good.
So is that. We want to see cops!
As full penny. If you want to promote 33 spins and big daily jackpots, you've got to go to the home game. Vegas is set on the gaming. We haven't even left the country.
No need, you got your lights.
Glitz, glamour. Come on, do you look bit to camera and we'll go watch the fight? What, boxing? No, Endo in the car park. Mother-in-law versus bridesmaid.
This is Paddy Live! New customers get 30 free spins on our daily jackpot games.
Well done, wizard. You are a true friend of the crown. Dilly dilly. What would you have me do now, Your Majesty?
Turn that into Bud Light.
Okay.
Now turn that statue into Bud Light.
Your Highness, I can do other things. I can put a curse on your enemies. I can make you immortal.
Yeah, no, just the Bud Light thing.
Keep it Bud Light.
Some people like unpredictability. Me? I like to know everything is perfect in my hotel. And that's why I always use Trivago. I simply type my destination, select the filters, 4 stars, and pets allowed. Trivago filters by average guest rating based on millions of reviews across multiple websites. So when I rate excellent cleaning, I know I can rest easy in my ideal hotel. Hotel? Trivago.
There's a new secret recipe for Cocoa Pops that everyone wants to get their hands on. It's just as delicious. It has 30% less sugar. And the chocolate is one for everyone. 30% less sugar.
You can be whatever type of woman you want to be. You can be an individual and still feel part of something bigger than yourself. I am Women. Calvin Klein Women. The new fragrance for us.
What did you say your job is? I'm undercover detective investigating the Ku Klux Klan. You do?
The KKK is planning an attack.
I gotta get in deeper with those guys. Born ready. Can you do it?
Right on, right on.
Black Lives Matter spreading joy to service others people.
It's not what it looks like.
You're gonna eat it that much.
Now the biting makes sense.
Scott's home early.
We came here to stay in touch with friends. We found others just like us. We felt a little more connected to the world. We didn't come here for clickbait, spam, fake news, and dating. That's not okay. Which is why Facebook has changed.
You lot fucking wank me. You know what I mean?
And help protect your privacy.
What's the matter with
Show
you?
you more from the people you care about the most. Because when this place does what it was built for, they will get a little closer.
Hello, this is.
How people go into that fucking smelly little Trump who wears the same clothes all fucking month? Get comments.
Matt Damon in Ridley Scott's The Martian, Thursday, the 30th of August on Film 4.
Are you going to speak?
Film
Did we see it? Probably not.
Mindy,
Boom.
this one's getting me killed. You stand me up.
Dave, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You are?
I am.
Don't think so.
Okay, great.
Fanny.
Apologetic isn't a word I used to describe you.
How many times do I have to say it?
Look, let's get out of here. You gotta ease up. I think I might have broken a rib.
Dave, I'm done.
We're training?
Exactly.
Wait, you mean everything? You can't. You're a hit girl. We're gonna start a team. You can't just quit. This is who you are.
No, Dave. I'm sorry, but it's over. I'm done. Just leave me alone.
Stop apologizing.
I don't know what's worse. If you're fucking a ninth grader,
Whoa,
that you
whoa.
just got dumped by one. Pedophile freak.
It's not like that.
Then what is it like? Please tell me.
I can't. It's too with it. Stay.
I've got a secret for you. You're never gonna leave.
Do your volunteers at your English exchange?
His baton is so much bigger.
No.
And by baton, I mean penis. 15 gets you 20, pervert.
A freshman, Dave. You look salty, though. Problem. You ask my Bill play ball? Right? No, Chris here. Chris! Chris, you... Holy shit. What the hell is that? My testing. Chris, just because your mom might be a little freaky now. I know my bullshit is happening. My dad was a crime boss, so it just makes sense. I'm a supervillain. It's evolution. Just put those things on me before you hurt somebody, Chris. That's not my name. Okay, Red Mist. Red Mist was my superhero name. Henceforth I'll be known as the motherfucker. After Mindy quit, I decided to stop hitting the heavy bag and start hitting the streets.
Hey, Pika! Welcome back!
Only problem? I was still on my own. So I went online and found a physics professor calling himself Dr. Gravity. Sure, he wasn't a hit girl, but I had to start somewhere. This is the zero-G device I invented. Can levitate any object up to a ton. For real? Hell no, man. It's from a baseball bat right to tinfoil. But it fooled you. Okay, let me tell you what to do, please. I'm not even a physics professor, just a copywriter for an ad agency. But that's why I love this stuff. You can be anyone you are. Come to team ups before? Kind of. Yeah, no, not really. I just get kind of nervous about being on my own. Yeah, me too. I've never even been in a fight. Well, hopefully you won't have to. I've heard that guy talking about forming a team if you're interested. I don't know how serious he is, but his picture was pretty hardcore. Are you kidding me? That's why I contacted you. I didn't want to freak you out by bringing it up too soon, you know? I'll show you his profile after I hit the men's room. Dr. Raph's not going to be happy about this, Chris. That's not my name. I'm not calling you that. Forget it. Pierre, you worked for my dad. Then you worked for my mom. Now you work for me. I'm probably the richest kid in New York City. But if you don't like that, find yourself another motherfucking job, okay?
Yo, kick ass! Man, am I glad to see you. Is there anything I can do to help there? Yeah, I was hoping you could help me get 1 million hits on YouTube.
careful not to cross. It's something cut your guess. Right there, hands. That's the legs.
Not great.
I don't know. Am I?
Yes, you are. You're great. Your mom was down at Brooklyn's really nice.
What am I just talking about? I'd rather be waterboarded than listen to Justin Bieber.
You're gonna be fine.
I'm gonna be, Zach.
How do you know that?
Because it's a slumber party, for fuck's sake.
Dollar? John.
You're gonna need a bigger jar.
Pretty cool, huh? This is how the beer gets delivered. Dude, you got a secret elevator through underground headquarters. Yeah. The guy I told you about owns this place.
Like a real life doctor.
I know, right? This is the single greatest thing I've ever seen.
Welcome to Justice Forever. So you girls have some fun, and I'll pick you up in the morning, okay?
I'll get the latest at wrists. Now, you're gonna be the one that gets the awesome manicure. I am? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Say hey, Mindy ladies. Hey.
No, you're that freshman I took a ride on Dave Murphy's Kiss Disgust.
I'm not right. He just blew him. Your dog's a virgin, right?
He didn't blow him, look at her.
And what? Rim job? Hand job? Finger band? Wait, Ryan Seacrest, you at least kissed him, right? Never kissed a boy, have you?
Oh my god, that is so adorable.
Maybe she's a dog. Maybe I'll jam my foot up her snatch. Oh, she's like a bitch, huh? What's the big deal anyway? What can be so great about gaggles and douchebag's tongue? It's pretty fucking great. You know how I feel when I watch that video by Union J? Holy shit, you don't know? This will change your life. You guys love the shit while the fanboys love Sam Lady, don't you? Who's Sam Lady? Walk out the door every day in the same tight clothes, knowing that everyone worships you? Don't you want to sneak out at night, face a little hell, and show the world what a strong, independent woman is capable of? Don't you want to belong? Remember the slogan? Yay! It so much fun.
So we tried the cops. Yeah, I tried the newspapers. And we set up a thing on the internet for people to help us find Tommy.
We never saw our son again. I came up with the name Remembering Tommy, and we've been doing this 3 months a week.
Girl Stars and Stripes Marathon Line. It's terrible, guys. I'm sorry.
I became night bitch after my sister was murdered and found in a dumpster. Doesn't bring her back, but at least I'm doing something positive about it.
You say Red?
Yeah. I've been bullied my whole life for being gay, so now I stand up for the defenseless. That's why I don't wear a mask. So much like being back in the closet.
As long as
your heart's in the right place, you don't care what you put in your mouth. First bump.
Thank you, guys. Well, I became battle guy after my parents were mugged and killed coming home from the opera. Did I tell you guys that that sick bastard maxed out their credit cards on court outside? I just hope we get the chance to say hello to this guy someday so I can personally levitate his soul from his body.
Oh my god.
Marty?
Yeah, I never recognized your voice.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know, Marty. You got it.
Hey, asshole. It's me, Dave. Dave? Why are you dressed like Kick-Ass? Because I'm Kick-Ass.
You two know each other?
Yeah, like since we were 5. It's all this bullshit about your parents getting killed.
Yeesh. Language.
What?
Battle guy? Do you update your resume?
I'm trying to figure out how to explain this without sounding like a complete idiot right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's possible, Batman.
I'm not either. Okay, well, when I found you guys online, you were all swapping these awesome origin stories. Girl, you're ex-mafia, for Christ's sake.
Yo. Don't take the Lord's name in vain.
I'm sorry. I didn't think you guys would let me join the team unless I had a good story for you.
All right. We'll let you off the hook this time, battle guy. You want to see something cool?
Yeah.
Thought this could be up here.
Whoa, this is so cool.
Now, this little renovation was totally clandestine, which means nobody knew about it. Now, I know it's not much, but this is just the beginning. Together, we can make a real difference.
If you consider it kick-ass, we'd be honored to have you join us.
Hell yeah!
Right. Time for initiation. Turn around and I'll accept you.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm just joking. Let's get down to business.
Gotcha!
Here you are. Escaped to see like half, but you never show. Yeah, I usually head over to the Olive Garden to Carbone. I haven't had white sugar since my first birthday. Do we need an intervention? Come on, best way to table the tummy is worse than the dance team. The fat shit just went up.
It's still blowing my mind. So what? Your best friend's supposed to be Wilson.
Hey guys, just talking about
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, Todd, nothing.
All right, see you around.
Todd, wait.
Oh, watch it. Watch me enjoy life.
Forget it. It's just one of those dickheads that follows the motherfucker on Twitter.
Who?
The motherfucker, some guy trying to be the world's first supervillain. He's got like 1,000 followers already.
What an asshole.
Yeah. Get some. Yeah. You got this, motherfucker.
Really think you got a shot?
One thing is money, but different. And my man's like chess. It's all about the moves. Everything the boy really knows his stuff.
Time to nod, asshole.
You alright? Oh, cool. Oh, good job. Nice job, buddy. Come on, stay loose, baby. Walk it off, walk it off. Stop. Shit. Oh, you broke my leg.
Let's take a break.
Hey, yeah, let's take a break, guys. Come on. Straight little bitch. Chuck, get this girl off me. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? All right, Chris? All right, buddy? Hey, I was winning. No, you were trying. You know what? Screw this. My superpower is that I'm rich as shit. Hey, you want to work for me, huh? You want to beat people up for me? Sure. All right. Get you a mask and a costume, and we'll call you Black Death.
Whoa. You don't think that's just a little bit incredibly racist?
I don't give a shit. I want you to put the word out. I'm willing to pay top dollar for every hired hand in town. Let's just talk right. Money talks. You wanted me to be my own man. This is what it looks like. All right. I'll make some calls. Yes! Anybody else want to be a super villain? Promise I'd pay better than Chuck Little Dick Liddell.
No, it's okay. Hey, there's no way to say.
I've been studying privately with Coach Liddell, and by studying, I mean my mom paid her off to make me varsity. So, for half decent, I'll make sure she puts you on the team. At least as an alternate. You do that for me? Let's stick together. If Brooke wants a pet, she should just get a dog. She's just trying to recreate an Indian home image.
All right, ladies, have a seat. Let's get started.
Late night film on Film 4, sponsored by Casino. The Casino.
Get ready for mouth-watering, jaw-dropping, finger-licking Tuesdays with 9 pieces of original recipe chicken for only $5.99 at KFC. This summer, go on an adventure with Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon. You're so pretty. Everybody likes compliments. Start with that to me.
There was mid-work presentation. Suddenly, boiling, and a flush. So I took my job. I'd only taken off all of them. All of them. All of them. Oh, stop kidding yourself.
Felix, you have to match the pictures. Felix, that's crazy. Chicken and crab don't go together.
They do in new Felix concoctions. A variety of different taste combinations that cats love come together to make an irresistible meal. Clever cats love new Felix concoctions. Purina.
Free spins on Starburst at Consumer.com. Consumer, a casino.
New BT Plus, our best connection in and out the home. BT, be there.
Stubborn stains? You could get aerial laundry powder from Morrison's for £11. Or you could get Lidl's award-winning formula laundry powder, stain remover, fabric conditioner, and award-winning antibacterial spray. Only £10.04. And that's not just the laundry sorted. Big on quality, little on price.
The Five Doctor is fun, fabulous, and fully loaded.
Doors open. Here's the situation. Serious. Looks like. Tell me here at 10:20. This is a wireless abducted. Nick, wake up! You seen all this? Kurt Russell starts in the network premiere of Bone Tomahawk next Saturday at 11:20 on Film 4.
Late night film on Film 4, sponsored by Casino, a casino.
A bunch of people with made-up names, standing around in homemade costumes, searching the web for unsolved crimes. The comic book heroes all have billion-dollar faces and headquarters on the moon. But this is the real world. Scales, like the red, white, nonsense. Right? What do you think? I think it does the job.
People should get what they deserve. Family living in the street deserves a hot meal. Inebriated college girl deserves to make it home safe tonight. And Harvard, pedophile, deserves a visit from Isaac. Now, you don't want to hear from your closed fist. You might break your hand, then you're defenseless. You want to hear the
I never made varsity football. Or got cast in a school play. Hell, I never even made honor roll. And if I had, I gotta believe it would have gone a lot like this.
We got the nerve to give those in need what they deserve.
We were in the ultimate point. It didn't matter that no one else knew. We knew. We felt like rock stars. Thanks for everything.
You show us that every man can make a difference. Without kicking us, none of us will be here. That's real hard. And when I go to your head,
So, I'm not really that tired.
Yo, who's this man? Nathan Dickey. In a different house every time you see me. Really? This is my old house, man. I've come here for a couple of days, isn't it? Best way to be though, bitch. Try and chase my fucking IP. You can't.
You know that they can dance and doesn't stop me who you are. I'll think of your shit about what I said. Now that you would go on a date, your life depended on it.
Who the hell, dude?
You know I'm right.
Hey, Roy Bridge.
Me?
Yeah. You want to take me on a date sometime?
Yeah, sure. My name's, Simon.
Great.
Baby, I'm sorry.
is that about me? Good. Is that my phone? Hey, we've been sneaking out at night. Neva said she thought she saw you leaving at 2 in the morning.
Neva, it's crazy.
Yeah, she tried to teach you how to finish. you on drugs?
Seriously?
I gotta ask. You're my best buddy. You're growing up so fast. Promise me you're not doing anything foolish.
Yeah, I promise.
Good enough for me, pal. You're too smart to do anything stupid.
Justice forever! Glad you got that out of your system. Oh, Todd texted me again. What a loser. Dude, how badass is Colonel Stars and Stripes? Yeah, I still can't believe he's an ex-mob enforcer. I mean, how do you go from that to being a superhero? He's a born-again Christian. Shut up. Yeah. Took me to him tonight. I guess we're about to find out.
That's okay. Fine, what you doing?
How did you say this guy made his money, sir? Prostitution?
Not just girls, kids. Ships them in from villages back home. Old heads and blow take a blind eye.
How'd you know he's here tonight?
It's Thursday night is poker night. Same 5 low lights every week. Now with a habit ain't hard to find.
What's the plan? Leave, sneak it in.
I thought we'd knock.
What?
More polite. Stay frosty, team. I used to eat punch like this for breakfast.
Title? Lo metto qui. Insieme alle tue Alta che è?
I'm sorry, I just zoned out for a second. But you're saying I'm up against 5 gangsters?
I'm about to make 6. That's 3/4.
What the fuck do you want?
Good evening, young man. We'd like a word with Jimmy Kim, if it's not too inconvenient.
Get the fuck out of here before I tear your head off.
I'm sorry.
We're in trouble.
I just don't understand why people feel the need to use that kind of language. Battle guy? What did I tell you about taking the worst thing in bed? Eisenhower? At the ready. Looks like man waiting right behind me. Everybody else spread out.
Fancy butt plug.
Oh. Try to have fun. Otherwise, what's the point? Anybody want to dance? Solve that for you? What goes on upstairs? It's just a constant. It's like bitch. On it. Yeah, there's a bug on your balls. More money. There's 50 grand on the table. Please, stop playing. You think you can buy us? Is that what you think? We're not here to steal from you. We're here to send a message. All
Double bad guys. Pardon my language, Colonel, but you have got some serious balls.
I'm one of this cake.
God damn it! Yeah? What happened? Some douche just posted a link through story about a whorehouse. Says that kick-ass's team took them out. What the hell was my phone? Everybody's just... you ladies excuse me for a second? Not by my sidekicks. They can listen to what we have to sidekicks. Prostitutes and witnesses. Come on. Right. Sorry, no offense. Everybody's just too afraid of Uncle Ralph to take the job. What is it? Just that. Runs the family now. Wants everybody to lay low. Unfortunately, Big Tony doesn't know how to lay low, so he's in. I don't remember. Big Tony's huge. He's ironic. 5'4", mean shit. He's got such a hard-on for killing people. Call the tumor. Who's next? Alright, we got a ex-triad member looking for work. Easy, famous courage. Come on. Gotta quit with the racist stereotypes, Chris. Archetypes. Keep going. Alright, we got accused of robbery. Chick? Yeah. Seriously, you heard of Chick? Yeah. Former KGB, she was locked up in the gulag until she ate her cellmate. Mother Russia. Mother Russia and motherfucker both in the same thing. That doesn't work, Chris. I'm not asking for suggestions, asshole. Just get them costumes and get them ready. Javier, thank you. I couldn't do this without you. You're pretty much like the only real family I've left. Not a problem, man. I got your back. Yeah, it's kind of like you're the Alfred to my Uncle Bruce Wayne. Just call me your fucking butler? Yeah, is that not a compliment? There wasn't much action most nights. I mean, there was always a little action, wouldn't I, bitch? The reality of being a superhero is left to perform. But that didn't stop people from begging to join up. With all our new members, it's some kind of shitty not to ask Todd. Stop peeking, man. You're gonna ruin it. Check it out.
You can't fight crime in that. Your pants are so tight, you got frog on.
Who's Frog Eye?
Male camel toe.
I'm not really sure about these names come up with either.
Kick-ass, kick-ass man. Dogs are kick-ass.
Yeah?
Yeah, they all kind of seem derivative. Let me translate that. You can't just copy Dave's name, you knob gobbler.
Okay,
Oh, wait.
Oh, I got it. Ass kicker.
Seriously.
you're such a dick, Marty. I know this is why you guys aren't texting me back. I'm not an actual idiot.
Well, you could have fooled me, ass sniffer.
Screw you guys.
Todd.
No, really. Hey, fuck you guys. I go find my own team.
Todd, Ray, come on.
Todd was right. We are being dicks. The truth is, the only person I really wanted on the team was Mindy. She was too busy trying not to be a superhero.
Okay, man, he's here. First big day. How you feeling?
For the first time, they placed me into a crack in my penknife. I've got some butterflies.
You just be yourself and you let me be nervous.
Don't worry about me. I can kill a man with something.
Word of advice, I wouldn't open it.
Thanks for letting me finally take you out.
I know. How else is it gonna get you so far?
Welcome.
Where are we going?
To a party?
Why is this party in the middle of nowhere?
Because that's where cake parties usually are, right?
Guess you're the first one's here.
This is where bestiality, moron. It's where you dump a dead body.
What's your problem?
I'm sorry. I was fucking such a bitch. Yeah, just something nice.
So, you wanna hook up?
Totally, yeah. Time to get back in the car. Now! Yay, you made it! Brooke? This is to celebrate you. Celebrate? What a total loser you are. And we ditch losers. Poor Mindy. What'd you think? The cool kid saw something special in you and invited you to your first party. Where you'd sip your first beer and finally suck face for the first time. Newsflash, you're not special. Fuck with the queen bee and you're gonna get stung. Date ditch. Party at my house. What's that excitement? You can join us.
Oh my god, Mindy. Shit. It's only...
Just need to see my route when I
You okay?
They're evil.
It's just high school. Who gives a shit? You should be out there in the real world. Making it a better place. I know, I promise your dad. But he's not here anymore. This is...
How am I supposed to face the door?
Why? You're smart. You're beautiful. You're funny. You're the strongest person I've ever met. You can do anything. And you're a hit girl. Doesn't matter if you're wearing a mask or makeup. It's who you really are.
So what should I do? Cut their tongues out?
No, definitely not. Just be them at their own game. By being yourself.
If you really want to be popular, consider two little words. Sex tape. Lois, you don't need these axioms. If I can dress like them, so can you. It's a gift from some drug dealer who went missing. Just because you dress like us doesn't mean that you can be like one of us. It doesn't matter what costume I wear, yours or mine. I'm a superhero. That's who I am. Okay, Captain Muffin Muncher. Have fun playing make-believe. This is all make-believe, Brooke. The reality is, you're a little bitch. It's just as the worst criminals go. You want to get real, Mindy? In the real world, I win. I go to a Muslim college, I marry a hot guy, and I make adorable babies for my nanny to take care of while we vacay and party. My life is gonna rock, and yours is gonna suck. And no matter how slutty you dress, no boy is ever gonna want to kiss that hole you call a mouth. So why don't you spare us all the whining and slit your wrists now? Because the only thing that's gonna ruin my day is looking at your face for one more second. thought that you might just run to Dark End Boy. You see, it was designed for crowd control but deemed too severe. It emits a pulse that creates spontaneous nausea and diarrhea. He called it the sick stick. Well, either your daddy got ripped off or you're back in make-believe land, sweetheart. Because we feel fabulous. Not for long.
Get away from me. Please. Human. I don't want to win. I just want to make the world a better place.
Is this what you've been up to while I'm out working nights saving for your college? You've been dressing up and fighting? There is blood on these stick wounds. What are you doing? I was looking for drugs. I was worried about you. Stop. No, I'm even more worried. Jesus, old drugs would have been better. Incest, deranged.
Whoa, some people do a lot worse.
Oh, people you hang out with? No. The people I hang out with are superheroes. There's no such thing, man. This is the real world with real consequences. When are you gonna grow up?
They mean turning into you, never. I don't wear the mask because I'm ashamed of who I am. Not like you.
What's that supposed to mean?
Get out of work, here, doing crunches. Why? So you can look like someone else? Maybe get a few more years of doing nothing? Your life has no meaning then. When you're gone, who's gonna know?
Where the hell you going?
Oh, I'm leaving. That's what you do.
Did you say why you wanted to see me? I'll go around calls and ask questions.
That's the kid.
Chris, just be cool and you'll be fine.
Listen, prison things have been tough all around since your dad. No. Well, I've been trying to get the family back on track for a year now. You know about these things. Oh, it's fine. Warden's a pal. Now listen to me. It's okay to have a bit of fun, but you can't go hiring a gang of heavy hitters. Maybe you should have told him.
Doesn't matter. I'm gonna make Kick-Ass pay for what he did to us.
Chris, you need to forget that punk. It's more important that you stay out of this. You're like me, your dad. You're, special.
You can't tell me what to do anymore. I know who I am now.
Oh, yeah? And who's that?
The motherfucker.
You think you're the big bad guy, huh?
Let me show you what real evil looks like.
Hey, what's going on? Chris, what's up? What are you doing on Lou's phone, huh?
Chuck was in the toilet again.
Everything okay?
Thank you for that. I needed it. For what comes next.
Don't be stupid, Chris. Just get out of town for a while. Go to college or something.
Why? You just tell me everything I needed to know.
Late Night Film 4, sponsored by Kasuma.
Right now at Homebase, there's unmissable deals for your home and garden. Get in quick for 20% off garden and DIY power tool brands like Ryobi, Azito, Karcher, Bosch and more. And hurry in for 3 for 2 on all paint and wood care. Offer ends soon, so don't miss out. Homebase, always your home, always low prices.
Love having that holiday again.
We asked Claire to try Dove Summer Revived Gradual Tanning Lotion and used hidden cameras to see if her friends noticed her holiday tan. They couldn't tell the difference. Can you? Dove Summer Revived, the UK's #1 gradual self-tan brand.
Every hour, every day, be the man of today. Glass bucket. Take a moment to admire this wonderful, soft, velvety yellow tail mane. Sorry, moment's up. Cut to the toast.
Get your money rocking. Take control and track your finances with ClearScore.
Don't let a wart ruin that special moment. To get rid of that wart effectively, choose the End Warts Pen for a precise treatment, or the innovative End Warts Freeze. Now buy one, get the second half price of boots.
Dear, you're real watching the game on that, aren't we?
Of course not, Ken. I'm still thinking about how I'm going to watch football this season. It's important. You can't rush these things.
Who says you can't? You're already on EE, so you can stream BT Sport from your phone straight to the telly.
Free-range football? Get in! Gosh, they're getting a bit stuffed, aren't they?
Watch BT Sport on the telly from a tenner a month. No contract. EE, who says you can't?
You're right, Sarah.
I think I've worked out my friend's dating thing with yourself.
Oh, okay.
Almost like I'm being discriminated against or something.
Well, because you're a lesbian.
No.
Because you're a vegetarian.
No. What is it then?
I'm an accountant.
That's not natural.
Do parents know? Haven't told me yet. Ooh, to be a fly on that wall.
I used to hate my hair. It was cool to have curly hair. My hair is like dry, in need of loving care.
Elvide Extraordinary Hair Oil, infused with 6 precious flower oils. An extraordinary transformation for your hair.
Nourished, soft, bouncy.
Elvide Extraordinary Hair Oil.
It's not just hair, it's who I am.
Philip Schofield here. If, like me, you value your free time, then sell your car with WeBuyAnyCar.com. Sure, you might get a bit more money selling privately, but do you really need all that extra hassle? Would you rather get on with your day, like I'm doing here? Oh, what a great day that was. So, if you value your time, enter your reg number now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Chipboard, no compromise. Nom nom nom. Nom 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 nom. Nom nom nom. Pedigree jumbo. It goes om and nom and nom. Om nom 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 nom.
So that's why they called you when you were defendant. An insurance law. You work for the CIA now. You should be careful. We are engaged in a war with vaulted information. Nobody is safe next to the state.
The network premiere of Bridge of Spies, tomorrow at 9 on Channel 4.
Late Night Film on Film 4, sponsored by Casino.
Presto and game. Them boys designed a very tasty logo. What's the matter, bro? Do something? Come on, let's go see. Come on.
gonna say anything. You have to stay in there till you calm down. You want to take. What's bothering you?
I know. Tonight you die.
Ladies first.
You may not shoot me. You are superhero. And you do not hurt. That's supervillain territory. Or is that what it's called, little thing? The toxic mini cunts.
Like your head.
You used to be Sal Berlin, didn't you? Did a few jobs for my dad back in the day before you got born again.
I used to be with a lot of losers.
This is how you thought you'd die, Sal? Dressed like an idiot?
Who are you?
I'm the motherfucker. I'm here to get kick-ass. I'm not just killing him. I am gonna shit on everything that he loves. Let's trash this place, guys.
Brenda Swindler.
What's that, Sal? Sure the horrors on your team? I'll snuggle up and kick ass. Looks like our boy's got a new hot pocket. Love me for Gilius, dog. Jesus Christ, I'm not that evil. Cut the old man's head off. That's hungry and starving. Come on, pizza. Can you get pizza? Get pizza. Don't worry, I kid you first.
Marcus, I know I made you a promise. But I can't keep being someone I'm not. When I see evil, I have to stop it.
Mindy, what you did to those girls at school was unacceptable. You could have really hurt them.
You're right, I could. Instead of sent home with tummy aches. Fucking.
No, I don't get it. This obsession that you have with revenge is not healthy. You know that me and the police do our jobs, and there's going to be nothing back on us. We're never going to get hurt. We probably will.
Marcus, they cut a guy's head off. Who else is going to stop them? Kick-ass? You?
Go your room and do your thing.
Now,
Hey guys, we're signing a sympathy card for the Colonel's sister. You wanna go 5 bucks each so we can send flowers to the king?
Did you guys see the motherfucker's Twitter page? Who's this guy? What's his problem with us? I don't know, man, but he's got some elephant-sized balls. He's been bragging on the web about what they did to the con. Can that be traced? I tried. His IP address is masked.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna organize a fight. There are a lot of guys online who said they're in if we need them.
Are you kidding me? This isn't West Side Story. We didn't join up to be in a gang. We did it so we could help people.
Shannon's right. We need to leave this to the cops.
Well, we better start walking in pairs. The motherfucker's tweet that the Colonel was just the beginning. Anybody seen Night Bitch? You sure she's on that page? Stupid cash person on the superhero page says she's dating kick-ass. So yeah, I'm damn sure. She wants to take the party upstairs. Got on her handle hard. She closed the door. Tomorrow, darling. Julia, I want you to give a message to your boyfriend. goes, baby. It's time to see what dick feels like. What's wrong? What are you doing? Ugh. Come on! God, okay, I'm just... Nothing moves!
I get the little dick feels limp.
Hurts her. Bad.
How's it coming?
Leave it to Mother Russia. She makes 10 times what we do. 50,000 to live plus expenses.
Take off their masks. Who's going to recognize what they're doing in street clothes?
Your attention, please! Time to trace the IP addresses for all those other costume freaks. We got every law enforcement agency in the state working to hit them at once.
Let's get that business. This one does community service.
I don't give a shit. Anyone wearing a mask is getting detained. We're putting an end to this tonight.
A lot of people said the cops were too heavy-handed that day. You gotta pay their carpets. The police didn't write our real-life superhero stuff as long as we were picking up litter or helping old ladies cross the street. But suddenly it was serious. Suddenly we represented everything that was wrong in society. Dad had warned me that the real world had real consequences. If they pulled out, he must have been feeling pretty damn vindicated. Shit. Me. Kick ass.
Actually, pretty cute under that mask.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, we're really superheroes about as much as we're really dating. We don't even know each other's names. I think it's time to get back to the real world.
I thought we were trying to make it a better place.
Why is it worse?
Maybe Nightbits was right. Which means Dad was too. I mean, things had gotten out of hand. Maybe it was time for me to stop crashing at Marty's and start apologizing.
Dad? Whoa, that's my dad. Are you anything else? Yeah, just get yourself up. You don't understand. We always do this to protect Dad. Dad!
Dave?
I need your help. Dad's been arrested. They think he's kick-ass. Can you talk to Marvin?
Grounded. No. So that means I can't get him wrong.
Okay, look, wait a second.
I gotta go, Dave. I'm sorry, Dave.
Vinny, wait. Hey, what the hell were you thinking?
I could ask you the same
I can't believe you lied to me.
Wasn't doing nothing while you went to jail.
I chose this. You should let me deal with the consequences.
When you get killed one day, you'll understand.
Let's go.
No, it just made things worse. Look, I spoke to my attorney, and he said they got me up tomorrow. No actual crime was committed.
There are people out there who want to kill kick-ass.
Well, the cops are out there looking for him, so the safest place for kick-ass is right here, locked away. Anyway, I got you all the shit, but you gotta promise me that we'll never dress up in that outfit again.
I promise.
People still say that? Oh.
Yeah, of course. You're shot. Something's wrong.
Use the wrong kind of water.
What the hell, Al?
Oh, it's fine, Chris.